Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Sunday, April 27th, 2014. And welcome to RoopleeTV episode number 12, where we talk about being better at Dota. Hey everybody, Rooplee here. Episode 12. So today I found a good game that I want to talk about for a lot of reasons, actually. So, pardon me, adjusting just a little bit. So, a couple of reasons why I want to talk about it is, first off, it has some interesting aspects that you don't normally see in pro games as of late. It will feature an aggressive tri-lane, I will tell you that, and that's one thing we don't see nearly as often in the pro scene as we have in the past, because of how safe the solo offlane is and how you can secure your farm. And usually you can secure your levels a lot more easily since 6.79, I think it was, where they changed the creep movement speed right after the International 3. That really opened up the field for a lot of people, but it did diminish the amount of tri-lanes on tri-lanes that we see. So this game does feature that, which is cool. And also, I want to point out that this game is actually, I think, 12 days old, and just show a little bit how the metagame can change even in a week and a half. The number of tournaments that have been going on recently have been changing how people play, and everybody watches how everybody else plays, and they learn from everybody else. So the game moves a lot more rapidly when there are a lot of tournaments, so I want to show you a little bit about how the metagame has changed even in the past couple of weeks, to give you an idea to think outside of the box and to, know that you don't always have to play exactly how the pros are playing. Like, nothing bothers me more than when I'm in a captain's mode game and you see the exact same bans and picks that are in the pro scene, even though it may not be the right idea for a specific team. For example, some people will pick certain heroes and ban certain heroes that not everybody is comfortable with, but they do it anyway. A good example is Visage. Not too many people can play Visage well, but he seems to get banned all of the time in Captain's mode. I mean, people just play directly off of the pro games, so if you kind of just go for like what's good at your particular level, it tends to work out a lot better for yourself. A lot of the Visage, the Wisp, even Meepo, just those high complexity heroes, hard to execute heroes, I would stay away from them on lower levels unless you know what you're doing with that particular hero. From playing them all the time and relying on them in Captain's mode or banning them out, because usually they're not going to be that big of an impact, whereas other heroes like the Sniper or the Drow could actually be a really big impact. Just depending on what level you are. So you just have to play to your strengths and weaknesses. So, sorry, just one thing that I've noticed a lot about games, and let's just hop straight into this game. I'm going to talk about all of the bans and picks as well for this game. So we're going to just go ahead and check out the entire game. It is a game of Teamliquid versus Team Dog in the ASUS ROG Dreamleague Season 1. This game took place on April 15th, yes. So there's the match ID, 611706372. And we're going to hop right into it. Don't need any other casters for this. No thanks. Cool. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just get into this draft and talk about the draft just a little bit. So, like I said, this game is a little old, so you will see some things that are a little bit different than what you would expect. First man is Dazzle. Dazzle, super. I mean, that's pretty well expected, honestly. And the reason for that is just he's really good at securing a lane, securing farming. He can also put pressure on other lanes with this Poison Touch. So he's good at ganking, and he's good at lane dominance, which is two really good things for a support. Lycan ban, no big surprises there. Lycan is really extremely powerful. at pushing, but I have a feeling that he may drop down just a little bit in the next week or two. He is getting slightly nerfed in 6.81, but not very nerfed. I think Lycan is a bit overrated right now as far as how powerful he is. He is really, really good, don't get me wrong, but he is slightly overrated in the fact that you do generally run him as a one-position carry. He does have the advantage in the current metagame that a secondary carry usually gets played mid as well, so that really helps him out a lot just for that metagame. Single cores are not really prominent these days. So, Naga Siren, this ban is always just because the Naga Siren can get played in any role. Naga can be played safe lane, Naga can be played as a support, Naga can be played as a mid. So, like, these heroes open up your draft, whereas other heroes will narrow your draft. The Invoker pickup, Invoker obviously a strong hero, but still can be played safe lane solo or mid. And Ember Spirit is Ember Spirit. He's really, really good. Can be played as a safe lane solo or safe lane farmer, or he can be played as a mid. So he also opens up your draft, and Centaur is an extremely powerful offlaner, very tough to kill. He has like the highest strength gain in the game. It's something like 4.2. Ridiculous amount of strength gain. And on top of that, he has Stampede at level 6, so he has global presence starting at level 6, and he has actually a surprisingly large amount of kill power. Between Stomp and Double Edge, he can kill off supports at like level 3. And Return will stop any form of harassment against Centaur. So if Centaur has some form of armor, and a level 1 Return even, the supports can't harass him without taking pretty much an equal amount of damage. So that is why he's played in the offlane, and why he's so good in the offlane. Also, the general build to go with him is Tranquil Boots, Blink Dagger. And once you get that, you can just crush any other lane that you go into. So Team Dog does pick up Bane, which is pretty interesting, I would say, to pick up a Bane this early. Bane isn't played all of the time, but he is a very formidable support. His main disadvantage as a support is that if the game goes too passive, he's not as good as other supports in a passive game. He can't farm the jungle. He can stack up ancient creeps and stack up large and small camps, but if a game is too passive, it works very much against Bane. But the thing is, early on, Bane can always go aggressive against Ember Spirit. Before level 6, Bane will always have an ability to go against Ember Spirit. And he will always... Well, he won't be able to do too much against Centaur, but the fact that he can use his Brain Sap against the Centaur will be powerful as well. Team Dog is banning out powerful mid-game carry mid-heroes because they know that Teamliquid plays TC as their Ember Spirit. TC is the only one on their team that will play it, and he plays it as a safe lane farming Ember Spirit. So that is why the Tinker and the Shadow Fiend were banned out, because they don't want to give those to Bulba, or Quickva. Sorry. They don't want to give it away. Liquid Pegasus is actually Demon, but he's being cute in this scenario, so yeah. So, and Teamliquid actually bans out against Team Dog just the Luna Morana, the two female mounting riding heroes, just because their versatility is pretty good, and Luna is extremely good at early team fights and push, and Teamliquid wants to secure the late game more so. These two heroes are really good at controlling the early mid game, and they're also carries as an advantage. So Teamliquid says, hey, we're going to want another big core mid, and we want to just make sure we win the late game. That is Teamliquid's goal, is to say, we secure the late game, okay, let's go. And then Team Dog right now, they have a really potent combo in the Invoker and the Bane. Bane can sleep, and Invoker can just use his Sunstrike and dominate him. So So they already have a good, powerful combo. And another reason why Mirana was banned is because Bane is there. I would expect to have something else to combo up with the Bane in order to just have Bane, Invoker, plus something in order to kill any hero pretty much from wherever. And there's the Nature's Prophet. It's actually a really smart pickup to do that, because if Nature's Prophet can get level 6 early enough, a Bane Sleep can mean an instant death for any hero. If you just Bane Sleep, start the Sunstrike, go into Nature's Prophet ult, and Brain Sap, Brain Sap is pure damage, so even if Bane is level 3, he does 160 pure damage. 230 if he's level 5, but 160 pure damage. Nature's Prophet ult starts off at 140 damage, goes up from there. So probably about, 220, 230 damage. It just increases as it bounces. I'm not exactly sure how much, maybe 200. And then Sunstrike does pure damage as well, so you're looking at like 700 hit points easily. Just crushing them. Just from that. So, very potent trifecta there. The Disruptor picked up. Combos well with Ember Spirit for teamfight dominance, but kind of lacks the control. Centaur Warrunner does have good control. And Teamliquid already does have an offlaner, so Darkseer is not really an option for that. They're looking to pick up some form of probably their secondary support, I would imagine, or maybe they're looking to pick up their mid right now, but a lot of the farming mids have been already taken. The good farming mids have been taken, so maybe something like, I was going to say like a Tiny if they wanted to, but they want to have some farm in mid to pick it up and go for their late game. Because like I said, Teamliquid's lineup is just like lining up to say, okay, Centaur, he's Centaur, he'll get his, 12-minute Blink Dagger. Like, he should be able to get a Blink Dagger by 12 minutes, and then he'll be able to keep the pace going for whatever late game Teamliquid has secured for them. But Team Dog also has a very late game oriented game right now too, with the Invoker mid and the Nature's Prophet offlane, or solo lane for the experience. They have quite a bit of farm. Teamliquid does pick up the Sand King, which is a really smart pickup here, because Sand King will be able to control the team fights more. Disruptor has a lot of team fight control if he has somebody else to set up that team fight. So Centaur Warrunner popping his ult is basically enough for Disruptor to set everything up, but Sand King can also use his Epicenter in the middle there and a Burrow Strike, and then it just goes into Centaur ults, Sand King goes in, everybody gets slowed by his Epicenter as well. Centaur stomps, Sand King burrows, and then Disruptor lays down everything and keeps everybody clumped in that ball if they're already in a ball. Like I said, it would be advantageous to have a Darkseer in this kind of lineup, because Darkseer combos very well with both Sand King and Disruptor, but they already have their offlane. So, and Centaur, don't get me wrong, is a very good offlane. It's just their execution is a little bit more difficult now that they have Centaur and Sand King. Team Dog picks up the Ancient Apparition, which is always a good choice to pick up. Ancient Apparition just has that global teamfight presence, does not need to be in the middle of teamfights. That's actually a very big plus about Ancient Apparition, is that he does not have to be anywhere close to anything to be extremely effective. He can combo also on top of Bane Sleep. So one Bane Sleep can mean Sunstrike, Nature's Prophet ult, Ancient Apparition ult, into death. Like, you don't even need Fiend's Grip at that point. You just need something to hold them in place. And speaking of something to hold them in place, I'm looking for Team Dog to have one other ability to hold somebody in place just for a little bit, but they are looking for a carry actually, so there aren't too many in the pool. It's just, could see something like a Sven. Haven't seen Sven forever, but just this kind of global presence means that one good disable can just mean instant death, and having another one on top of it would just secure it anywhere on the map. So that's pretty much where that goes. And Teamliquid, for their last hero, they're still looking for their heavy farming mid hero, somebody that they can just stick mid, get their levels, get their farm, and then, like I said, secure their late game. But right now, Team Dog has a pretty formidable late game too, depending on who they pick up to carry with. You know, popularly, I don't know who they could pick up for their late game carry. Yeah, so I do not know, but there's Doom for Teamliquid. This pickup is Wraith King. So that was the stun I was talking about. Wraith King, actually, I really enjoy as a hero personally, but I do want to point out that it also lines up with all of these AoE presence, and now they have a front line. That was one thing that Team Dog was really missing out on. They had nobody who wanted to stay close, because every other hero is not only a ranged hero but a squishy hero. So Fata will take the lead on the Wraith King, and just, you know, he will be taking the hits. Koikva on the Doom is a pretty interesting pickup, since they will want to Doom Invoker every single team fight. Like, that's without question. Invoker should be getting doomed all of the time. Or maybe the Bane to stop him, but you could save your level death for that, since it does have a mini stun. So there's really, that's really what there is to it, is that you've got the Doom, who's, like I said, probably going to go mid, and then just face off against the Invoker, which is not really a favorable matchup for the Doom. Doom does have the advantage of Devour. That is his big advantage, but he also has no armor. Literally 0 armor. And against an Invoker, and particularly an Exort Invoker, played by MSS, who has already 58 base damage and is only going to go up from there, Doom is going to be suffering with every single right click. The increased negative armor from Forge Spirits are going to be even worse. And frankly, I don't see how Doom could stay in lane too terribly long against that. He is going for the really, really fast bottle rush, which is good. With that fast of a bottle rush, well, actually I take that back. He just bought something. He just bought a Stout Shield and a Healing Salve. So now he will be able to stay in the lane a lot better. The Stout Shield will help him out against the Invoker mid. So, in the meantime, we did have Misery and Fata just laying down their ward for the beginning of the game. Was not spotted. Ember Spirit did come up here a little bit, but not a ton. So, let's go through everybody. So for Team Dog, we have Pos on Ancient Apparition, Misery on the Bane. Fata is going to be playing the Wraith King, and then MSS playing the Invoker. Pycat is going to be on Nature's Prophet. We've got Pegasus, aka Demon, on Sand King. Koikva is going to be playing the Doom mid. Bulba's offlaning with the Centaur, and then we've got Way Too Sexy and TC playing in the bottom lane. So that is everybody. And I do want to point out that Koikva is going to just eat this first creep and then go mid. In the meantime, Demon is going to get a little bit of experience here while that happens, so that he can hopefully get a good one. He actually gets the worst possible one he could get. No auras and, you know, 100 mana for, I guess it is 150 damage AoE, so he can push the lane a little bit with it, but it's 100 mana for it, so not that valuable. There is, and then from that, Misery actually, if we actually go back, I want to point out that Misery was sitting up here the entire time, so he got the Invis rune and was able to pick up the creep kill. So he did get the experience from the Devour. See, it's only 59 instead of, like, it would have been a half of a level, 120 experience, which is pretty valuable. But either way, they do have a ward here, and Misery does get pointed out, so they do know that this is an offensive tri-lane, and a very, very potent offensive tri-lane. If we look, the Ancient Apparition, Chilling Touch does 50 damage per attack, 3 attacks per hero. So that's, you know, a total, if every one of these heroes attacks 3 times, that's 450 damage, which is the highest damage you can possibly think of on a level 1 spell ever. And it makes the tri-lane just that much more powerful. Couple that on top of Bane's Sleep right here, and you've just got a wrecking horse of power. The level 1 Flame Strike did not do, or Sunstrike did not do that much damage, but if we just look right here, just from that little bit of harass, so it took, you know, half of Bane's mana, a little bit of Ancient Apparitions, and half of Wraith King's mana. They were able to trade most of Ember's health. He has to use a salve, and then half of Sand King's health. So, pretty good trade. Just trading 2 tangos for a salve and a tango, pretty much. There will be the clarity on Bane, so that Misery can do this again. But in the meantime, Way2 tried to stack it, but Pos did a really good job of standing here just to prevent the stack. Because a couple things I want to note about a tri-lane is that if you don't get these kills early on, you will be suffering hard. Unless they're able to deny this experience. So they're able to deny the pull, which means that their experience is even, assuming everything else. As long as the supports from the side of Team Dog are on top of it, they're fine. So Misery is on top of it right now. He is just waiting for it to happen. He's actually going to pull it before they can pull so that they don't get this stack. Really, really next level play by Team Dog in general to just prevent this from stacking as much as possible. He'll probably actually come back here and prevent the chain or the stack. No, he did not. So he just prevented them from pulling that extra creep wave and getting more experience. The goal on Team Dog right now is to keep equal experience on their 3 heroes as Team Liquid has on their 3 heroes. And so far they're getting better experience because Disruptor's level 1 and they're both level 2, whereas they have 2 level 2s and a level 3 on Fata. So far Team Dog is winning that battle. And if we just take a look at the other lanes, I've been focusing most on the tri-lane because that's the most volatile lane. Koikva's actually doing pretty decent. He's 15 for 2 against a 19 for 5 Invoker. So he is doing very well. Has 75 base damage actually. Quite a bit. The Devour is getting him a lot of gold. He probably, with the Devour, has the same amount of gold as Invoker. So he's doing remarkably well. And the solo lane Bulba against Pycat. So this will be pretty much a stalemate. Centaur can try and run in and do some damage to Nature's Prophet, but Nature's Prophet will not be able to harass Bulba out of the lane. It'll pretty much just be a standoff. So, yeah, right now we have Misery. He is sitting on this haste rune that the team of Team Liquid does not know about. And this is what's really nice about, well, I was going to say tri-lanes, but aggressive lanes in general, or just lanes in general with supports, is that this Bane can run away. He's already been missing for a while, and Liquid doesn't know where he's at. So, you know, he could be coming mid, but they don't know that he has a haste rune. And that really catches Koikva off guard. And, you know, they do get the cold snap, and they get Pycat to teleport in. Huge advantage to this Nature's Prophet is that he can teleport in like that to secure the first blood. Gotta slow it down because there's actually a really good thing that Team Liquid does in response to this. So Liquid sees that Koikva is going down and he's not really going to be able to do much about it. So what Liquid does, since they're already out of position for that, is that they go here and they actually go and kill the Ancient Apparition, and as a good response to that, because they couldn't save their ally. Now that was really unfortunate for Disruptor. Way2 just got hit by the Ancient Apparition Cold Feet, barely in range to get frozen by it, and still the kinetic field range was still within that as well. So Fata was able to get his last hits and get a 1-for-1 kill there. So even though Team Liquid did the right thing by advancing when they knew that Bane was mid instead of down bottom as a tri-lane versus a dual lane. Oh my goodness. So this is what I was talking about earlier. The power of just the sleep into destruction combo is he has 1 stun, a Sunstrike, and then Nature's Prophet just ults and hits him with 253. So Nature's Prophet ult hit with 250 damage at level 1. Barely had enough mana for it, but they were planning on that combo just from the get-go. Like, the amount of burst damage that just comes from those 3 spells right there, and a semi-global presence. I mean, they pretty much have like the power of all 5 of their heroes in this lane down here, and as many as 3 heroes in any of the other lanes. Well, if they have their supports roaming. So they have a lot of their power is it's global. They have a good global presence, and it just showed right there that the Wraith King was able to get a kill. One thing I do want to point out about this Wraith King is that he does have to keep over 140 mana if he has his ultimate ready, and B, pause it just a second. Sorry, Feta will have to keep his mana up, but at the same time he's pretty unkillable right here, so he doesn't really need supports. And even if he dies once, the chances of a Disruptor and an under-leveled Ember Spirit killing Feta twice are low. I mean, like, even the chances of him dying once with his 900 hit points, 4 armor, and 15% lifesteal aura is really, really low. But it's even worse that to kill him twice. It's almost impossible. So if we look, Bulba is actually coming up here. Demon did get an Invis rune, so he was able to catch out Pycat. And this is the burst damage that I was talking about from Bulba and from the Centaur in general. So that you can do that kind of burst damage early on, especially with the Centaur ult. You can slow them down, and Nature's Prophet doesn't have too much defense against that, except for teleporting away. Sand King, on the other hand, has good Sandstorms and Burrow Strikes to get out of everything. Oh man, action everywhere that I'm just totally missing out on. So Feta, this is the power of the Wraith King, is that he can go back and stun. Granted, he doesn't have mana right now, so that was a little risk by him, but Misery was here as well, so not too bad. Not bad at all, actually. And TC's left here all by himself. Ember Spirit, if he doesn't get the levels that he needs early on, is a remarkably poor hero. Like, he really needs those levels early on, and he's level 5, 7 minutes in, so his supports have done the right thing. The lane is already lost, so the supports, what they do is they just wander around the rest of the map, just trying to create room or cause distractions elsewhere, but still trying to get Ember his level 6 at least. At least his level 6, so they're not soaking up his experience anymore, which is really good. Demon does get caught off, and just that Sunstrike into Nature's Prophet ult is enough to kill him. He didn't even need that Nature's Prophet ultimate, but the Sunstrike took away almost half of his hit points. If we look at the Invoker, Sunstrike does 287.5 pure damage. So, that's pretty much half of anyone's hit points at this point. A little bit less, but still, pretty much half. One thing that I do want to point out about Team Dog, just pause it just a little bit, is that according to their team lineup, they have global presence in the Exort Invoker, the Ancient Apparition, who's not level 5 yet, not level 6 yet, but he's getting good experience. Anyway, the global presence of Invoker, Ancient Apparition, Nature's Prophet, along with the disables of Wraith King and Bane to kill as many heroes as possible before the 5-man comes. Team Dog has a decent 5-man, but they don't really have like a big team fight beyond. I guess they do have Invoker and Ancient Apparition, but they don't have any way to keep everybody together for Invoker spells or anything. So their team is generally going to be a lot spread out, which is kind of good for them because Teamliquid is only looking for a lot of AoE team fight with the Ember Spirit, the Sand King, the Centaur, the Disruptor. And then Doom is there just to, like I said, shut down the Invoker, pretty much. He'll be able to shut down the Invoker, and also he's going to be, the one carrying the mechanism, that kind of thing. He's going to be the one that just, the utility hero, pretty much. Centaur is going to get his Blink Dagger here up real soon, actually. And I'll go ahead and resume the game. That's the general goals of the team, and right now, Team Dog is really showing how powerful this global presence is early on, getting a few extra kills. And these Hand of Midases, the original thing I wanted to talk about were the Hands of Midases. So Team Dog is going for 3 total Hand of Midases. So if you watched RoopleeTV's episode yesterday, I talked about items and when to build what items. So Team Dog is going extremely greedy here with 3 Hand of Midases. And the only reason they can pull this off is because the reasons they can pull this off is because Invoker needs levels, and Midas is the best way to get him levels. Honestly, a Midas on Invoker gets him his levels at such a pace that it's a really valuable item for him. So you get levels on the Invoker, and then Wraith King kind of doesn't die. Kind of. And Nature's Prophet gets gold everywhere on the map. So between that, they can kind of get away from it. Or get away with getting 3 Hand of Midases. And also, they had a really good start in their aggressive tri-lane just dominated. Mid lane did okay, and then top lane did okay. Pretty much even trades on the other 2 lanes. But their aggressive tri-lane did so much to shut down Ember Spirit that they can sit back, they can get these 3 Hands of Midases, and then they can go into the game. With 3 Hands of Midases. They're still powerful even though they only have like a Hand of Midas. But we'll see as they get these Hand of Midases that they don't go greedy with their Hand of Midases. So they know that they have 3 Hand of Midases on the team, and the way to counteract getting greedy Hand of Midases and to prevent going too greedy is you go Hand of Midas and then you go into mid-game items. So like you can go like Hand of Midas into Force Staff for Invoker, for example. You know, he got Hand of Midas before he even phase boots. So Hand of Midas into Force Staff, or, you know, just pretty much anything else. Nature's Prophet, it doesn't matter too much. Hand of Midas into maybe like Shadow Blade, Necrobook, something to just, you know, split up the team of Teamliquid. That's their goal. Like, Teamliquid has no answer to the split push of Nature's Prophet, really at all, unless Ember Spirit comes into play. They don't really have anything to go in. They have Centaur and Ember Spirit, but if they can split up the team, then that is good for Team Dog. This a massive amount of harass. Like, TC took half of his hit points because of 1 stun right there. If they would have had a stun strike on top of that, it would have been pretty much a kill. Because at this point, Sunstrike still does 287, but a Sunstrike and a Nature's Prophet ult would have done the deed. But instead, Veda is able to freely farm against both an Ember Spirit and a Disruptor, like, without a problem. Looking middle, that's where it is. Just trying to figure out what was going on. So, back it up a little bit. So, Boba did get his Blink Dagger at 10 minutes in. Really good timing by him to get that Blink Dagger. He was against a solo Nature's Prophet, but that Blink Dagger caught them off guard. They were able to get the Sand King. Boba does jump up to kill the Bane, but ends up getting picked off by Pycat on the Nature's Prophet, so not quite worth it for him to take down the Bane for his life. But the 10-minute Blink Dagger caught MSS off surprise. They know about it now. They know about the ultimate, and they know about the Blink Dagger, but that early of a Blink Dagger is just massive against somebody like an Exort Invoker because he has no way to get out of it. Fada right here, he actually just gets 140 mana, so he just gets enough for his ultimate. He got glimpsed at the same time, but he was already dead, so he came back up. But Pycat comes in with that global presence. They're able to just almost kill TC, but he's got his level 6 finally. He's level 7 now, so he's able to get away. He did go the 3 points in Searing Chains for that extra second of duration. But, Ember Spirit did end up dying. That's right. Okay, so Ember Spirit did end up getting hit by Ancient Apparition's ult and took him out. That is some really scary global presence. Yeah, that is some really, really scary global presence. So Yeah, just like that kind of power is ridiculous. The fact that they were able to, I mean, like, he's not even safe, you know, right here. TC is not even safe at all. He ended up dying behind his tier 2 tower. Just because of the Ancient Apparition ult. And there we go. It's actually another kill. I'm missing all these kills. There's a lot of action going on here. So Koikva is right just at his tier 1 tower, and Dog is just putting on the pressure even through their 3 Hands of Midases. Their team lineup is just so incredibly aggressive that they can do this. Bulba gets a nice return kill on the Wraith King, and then Bane is actually going to be in a lot of trouble here too. But as you can see, this Ancient Apparition is able to just do so much work with his ult that they really... Liquid cannot commit to their team fights right now. They don't have enough hit points, and they don't have... Well, the Doom went drums to get more hit points, but everybody has to get more hit points because they don't really have much in the form of hit points. We have 720 on Disruptor. Centaur has a lot, but Sand King has nothing as far as hit points or items go. And then Doom has drums, and Ember has Phase Boots. So he has nothing to boost his stats. Everybody is super, super, super squishy. And Team Dog can take advantage of this right now. They have, you know, Nature's Prophet is level 11 now, partially because of the Midas, but he's level 11. Feta is going to catch up in levels. He's level 9 right now. He's got his Hand of Midas, and this is what I was talking about with the recovery from the Hand of Midas, is that you're going to get the Hand of Midas early on, but you still want to keep the pressure up, so you get smaller items, like you get the Blink Dagger. You don't go directly into the BKB or the Heart or whatever like that. You get the smaller items, so like we're going to see a Necro Book on Nature's Prophet. Actually, Bane dies from Liquid just trying to get whatever they can out of this. But they do end up getting a kill. Ember Spirit did die from the Sunstrike. He got hit with a lot of hit points just from the Sunstrike alone. So Ember did go down there as well. And that was just the jump to try and get the Bane. At this point, Team Liquid is trying to go 1-for-1 in their kills because they know that there's a gigantic experience difference. Let's see how bad it is. It's 4,000, and there's a gold difference. So if they can trade 1-for-1, they can actually come out ahead right now, just because of the difference in levels between the two heroes. Bulba tries to blink in, and just this global presence is just killer. But I do have to say that Way2 did a really good job there of being present there and taking out the Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet had a TP scroll, which you don't see terribly often on Nature's Prophet later on in the game, just because he needs the space. But he had a TP scroll to try and get out of Disruptor's ultimate. Did not make it out in time. But the Centaur did go down for the Nature's Prophet. So still, like I was talking about before, it's still a good trade. And Demon is able to get a Blink Dagger, so that means that Sand King can do something now. Pretty much. Is that Sand King can do stuff now. Sorry, I missed the Ember Spirit kill. Ember Spirit just got stunned right there, and well, I guess he was just standing there, wasn't he? Oh goodness. Hopefully not. Hopefully he was okay. Yeah, he was Fiend's Grip. So he just gets nuked immediately, and that's really a good way to kill the Ember Spirit. I mean, obviously anybody, but Ember Spirit has one of the worst stat gains in the game. He has horrible stat gains, like absolutely awful stat gains, and if he's under-leveled and he doesn't have any stat items like he currently does, he is susceptible to that kind of just pure burst. Another hero to look at that's very similar to this is the Weaver. So the Weaver has pretty low strength gain, like extremely low strength gain actually, but uses his weave to get in and out, his Shizuki to get in and out of fights and not die, and his time lapse to stay alive. Ember has a very similar lineup because he has his Fire Remnants to save him, and he actually has Flame Guard as his protective spell, but it takes 3 points, or a couple points on that to be even relevant. The first point's only 50 damage absorbed, and then it goes up to 200 and 350, and then 500. So it takes a lot of points to get that to be relevant. But he is very similar to Weaver and how you deal with him too. If you can silence him, if you can disable him for the full duration, then you can just kill him outright. And that's why Ember usually builds something like drums, because then he can stay alive just a little bit better. He only has 800 hit points max right now, and a single Sunstrike will do over half of that, or 350 I guess, so not quite half, but a single Sunstrike will do a lot of damage. MSS did opt to go for the 4 Quas with 1 Wex build. In the meantime, Ancient Apparition was looking for a hit, but Invoker did end up going for that. The 404 build with 1 in the ultimate is very common from Invoker, Exort Invokers, to get towers down early and to just push, like you can push the lane, you can pressure the lanes, and the 4 points in each of these gives you a second Forge Spirit. So that's really, really powerful. You do see the Necro Book. So Invoker, after getting Midas, gets a Necro Book. So does Nature's Prophet, I believe. Yeah, he has a Necro too as well. So they're looking to just push down the towers and just keep the pressure going. And the best way they feel to keep the pressure going is to use all of their summons to their advantage and just pressure down the towers whenever they have a couple of heroes around. They don't want to fight a 5v5 team fight because Teamliquid is still extremely powerful in the 5v5 team fights. Unless Wraith King takes all of the damage, which is why Wraith King can do pretty much whatever he wants at this point in the game. Unless Wraith King takes all of the damage and, you know, uses his ult right away, he's not in danger of dying. And if he does die that first death and they use all of their cooldowns on Wraith King, the rest of Team Dog can come in and get that kill. So Team Dog is able to secure Roshan here with all of their summons and all of, yeah, just all of their tanking of it. MSS will pick up the Aegis of the Immortal, and that is because Wraith King already has his reincarnation, so he's just going to go in and trying to take all the damage. That was just an Ancient Apparition ultimate on top of a Wraith King or a Nature's Prophet ult, and then a single stun killed them. But as you can see, so Sand King's ultimate did a lot of damage here. Almost killed Misery, almost killed Pos, like 100 hit points for each of them. But because of the Aegis and because Sand King was only level 9 at the time, they were not able to get it. And the sustain from the side of Team Dog is really, really good. Wraith King didn't even use his ultimate that fight. They can sustain through these fights like forever, essentially. Ancient Apparition did go down, but they went, 4 for 1, so it is not a complaint. And then now we can see what's going to happen. So the Wraith King, actually, his 30% lifesteal aura is helping them push these lanes. He's going to go for, it looks like probably an armlet next, just to keep this going. That's their goal, is like to be the restriction and go get hero kills and then keep the pressure going. As we can see, Feta can take a bunch of hits and it doesn't matter too much. Like, he can get the kill on people. He actually keeps people together. His ultimate slows them by 75%, and they were able to get a kill on the Centaur because of that. Now, Feta does get caught out, as well as Pycat, in Searing Chains with the Disruptor ult, and Demon actually is able to turn that around quite a bit. Demon got a lot of those kills. They were inside of the Sandstorm as well, so they were taking 100 damage a second from Sandstorm, which is just huge. And then they were able to also do a lot of damage with Disruptor's ultimate, Static Storm, on top of Ember Spirit's AoE damage and AoE presence with the Flame Guard and the Sleight of Fist Searing Chains combo. So, like I said, Teamliquid's team fight is really, really powerful, and that's why, even though Team Dog is winning this team quite a bit, they're winning these fights quite a bit, it's if Teamliquid can survive the AoE globals and and get their combinations off, they can actually put up a lot of pressure and take down the team, even though they're at a big disadvantage. So Teamliquid still has to be really careful. Or not Teamliquid. Obviously, Teamliquid has to be really careful. But Team Dog also has to be careful and not just jump in, because they can risk losing a lot just from misstepping and getting caught outside of a team fight. If Way Too Sexy actually gets a decent ultimate off on the other team, he can stop a lot of things. So that was barely a missed Sunstrike, but I mean it was a smart Sunstrike, but Way Too is actually just thinking outside of the box and not just I'm going to run back to town. This level of harassment is punishing for the supports. Liquid would be really good with an urn right now to keep pressure going in situations like this. It would be nice for them to have an urn, but they don't have an urn. They don't have a mechanism. They don't even they don't have the sustain and the hit points to keep this pressure going. And Team Dog with those kind of ultimates, like even 30 seconds on Pycats, Nature's Wraths, and Ancient Apparitions ult is pretty much always ready. He's actually only 1,000 gold away from the Scepter as well, so he's doing really, really well. And also, I do want to make another comment about the Hand of Midas into quick items. He got an armlet, 20 minutes into the game. So the armlet is really cost efficient, actually really good on Wraith King, but it's also, very mid-game oriented. Very nice dodge by Demon. Dodging the stun. Wraith Fire Blast. Oh, that's what it's called now. Yeah, he was able to dodge the stun. But they're Team Dog doesn't necessarily want to force us into a late game, because they know even though Team TC is not off to a good start, he's 1-6 and has no hit points. They know that Ember Spirit as a hero can still make a comeback even if they're at a deficit. So they're kind of playing like a rattlesnake or something. It's just they're restricting them until they die. Nice cheeky play by Pycat to teleport in and kill the courier after Quakefoot got his Shiva's Guard. Quakefoot picked up Shiva's Guard and then was just taken out. So Bobo was seen here. It's a nice defensive ultimate by Way Too Sexy. Demon gets stuck in the trees right there, so he can't do much. And this is the thing about Wraith King, is that even going on him and killing him is he always has an Aegis of the Immortal. That's pretty much what he does. So it was awesome positioning by Team Dog to put Theta out in the front, even though they blew the smoke like that, to put him out in the front and then to just lose his ultimate, which has a 60-second cooldown. Whatever, that's nothing. The Bane did die, and a miraculous Sunstrike by MSS. Let's check that out again, just to see how good this was. So TC just runs back. He's running back to the fountain. Just gets hit by the Sunstrike. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide against this kind of lineup. So Team Dog is just going to be able to pressure the towers more from this. They're able to take down the Tier 2 and even go into the high ground 24 minutes into the game. If we look at just all of these summons, there are 10 Treants, 2 Forge Spirits, at least 2 Necro. Nope, 4. There were 4 Necro units, just all at the same time. It's just you cannot really fight this off very easily, and Team Liquid doesn't have a good way to clear that out. They do lose their range racks from this. So, just the whittling down of the enemy base is just so frustrating as a player to play against, and Dog does a really good job of creating that into their lineup by getting the Necrobook both on the Nature's Prophet and on the Invoker, as well as just going for the Forge Spirits and the Treants. Gives them that nice big pressure that they have to just be able to take down the base whenever they take their advantages. And that's what I really like about this lineup from Team Dog, is that they have a really good ganking lineup, but then they have the follow-up and the Invoker, the Nature's Prophet, and the Necrobooks to safely and quickly take down towers after they get those hero kills, because a lot of times there will be teams who get the hero kills and cannot convert that into a tower kill. The balance that Team Dog has here between global presence, ganking, and push is really good, and they're obviously lacking a bit on the full-blown carry side, so they know they can just keep this pressure up, keep going, and keep winning. For example, Ember Spirit cannot farm his tier 3. He's all by himself. He gets hit with a Sunstrike and an Ancient Apparition ult, which Ancient Apparition does have the Scepter now, so it's a 17 second duration. So yeah, it's 17 seconds, so it's 200 and or whatever, how much it is, 340 damage over time, as well as the initial blast damage, which is 350. So you're looking at like 600 damage, 600 magic damage that you can't heal during, which is the big part. So the only way to stop it is with like a pipe. Just the aggression of this Wraith King is phenomenal for their team. They can just jump in, throw a stun. If it doesn't work out, he can just walk away. If it does work out, they get a kill. And that keeps the Bane safe, because the Bane can stick behind these lines. And Nature's Prophet is also really safe. One thing I do want to note about this lineup from Team Dog is that even though they got all of these Midases, they still go for BKBs. Like, they have a BKB there on Pycat, they have a BKB on Invoker. Because at this point, the only thing that can lose them the game is Sand King Disruptor using their big AoE teamfights. And by shutting that down, they are lowering their possibility of losing this game. Because it is their game to win right now, and their game to throw. If they were to go, for example, if Invoker was to go for a Scepter, or a Blink Dagger, or a Force Staff, he would have more mobility, but he would be very susceptible to Disruptor, and very susceptible to Sand King. So, he does not want to take that risk, rightly so, and they just keep it, up. Yeah, this is the power I was talking about. So, even though Way 2 gets piped, he still almost dies. Almost? No, doesn't die, but almost dies. And at the same time, it gives them the map control to take the Aegis. And Invoker does take the Aegis again, which is a very smart decision. Because even if MSS does get doomed, he's still going to just be like, well, I can just die here, respawn, and then I'm going to be massive. Wraith King picks up the Mjolnir, which is actually really good at pushing because it kills creeps insanely fast, and it also has the 200 static damage on top of the 160 chain lightning damage. So it's really good for sustaining in team fights and for pushing. And that's what Team Dog is looking for. They're not looking for a wombo combo explosion teamfight ult. Like, their biggest teamfight cooldowns are like 40 seconds. So they're just looking for that, and then once they get their once they hit that teamfight ult, they can just go, and it'll last, a good 17 seconds on top of that. So by the time the duration's over, it's almost ready to throw again. That is the craziness of the Ancient Apparition ult. But as you can see, that they can safely just go and harass these towers with Fade up in the front, not being able to get killed. They do focus on the Ancient Apparition and take him down. Doom gets Fiend's Grip and dies. And yeah. Yeah, so they can, that's obviously GG, but that's the game. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this game is because the lineup isn't what you normally see. A lot of the pro games right now are very the game has gotten so refined right now that you see a lot of the same lineups. Like, in games right now, here's the actual scoreboard for those of you that want to check that out. But and the game ID right here, the match ID, which, like I said, I will include in the YouTube comments for you to check out. It is from the ASUS ROG Dreamleague Season 1, if you want to see it. But if you look at these heroes, 3 Hand of Midases converted into Blink, Armlet, Mjolnir, and the one on Nature's Prophet was converted into Necrobug, BKB, Mantis Style. So like the Mantis Style was the last item for him to pick up, I believe. Just not going for the big items to secure their mid-late game presence. They had a very nice opening, especially after they shut down the Ember Spirit completely. That was really what turned this game around for them, was shutting down the Ember Spirit so that he couldn't get the experience. He only had 295 EXP per minute. Actually, the third lowest out of anybody, underneath Bane and Disruptor. So he had such little experience that he couldn't be a presence in that game. Yeah, so that's about all I have to say about that game. Cool. If anybody has any questions, feel free to post them. Send them to me at RoopleeTV@gmail.com, or catch me on Twitter at Rooplee, and you can also catch me here on Twitch. So thank you guys for joining in, and I hope you guys learned a little bit. And also, I hope you guys learned that in games, doing the tri-lane does not anchor you into that lane. And that's what Team Dog was able to capitalize on. They were in that lane early on, got a couple kills, and then they got out of that lane to get Wraith King caught up. And by doing that, they were able to completely shut down Ember Spirit. He was, not useful during that entire game just because he was super underleveled. Especially because he was underleveled, but he was also underfarmed. Like, the levels are huge on Ember Spirit, and no levels means no map presence, and no map presence means no... it's a lot harder to win like that. So they were able to completely shut down Ember Spirit, and then they were able to go to the other lanes, and, they got like 2 or 3 kills on Doom because of their rotations, and, yeah, that's what they did. So, like, aggressive tri-lanes can be really good, especially if you have that many disables and that much damage potential. So, yeah. Cool beans. Alright, guys. I am out of here. Hope you enjoyed the cast, and I will see you guys next time.